I'll talk about making own sourdough. Starter is a wonderfully rewarding process. It's like catching a little bit of wild nature, specifically wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria from your kitchen environment and flour to give your bread its unique rise and tangy flavor. Here's a by-phase guide to growing your very own healthy sourdough starter. Phase 1, the initial mix, day 1. This is where your starter, affectionately called the baby, is born. What you'll need: a clean jar, a glass jar, pint or quart size is perfect, with a loose-fitting lid or a cloth paper towel secured with a rubber band. You need to let air in. Flour. Start with something like whole wheat or rye flour. These contain more natural nutrients and wild microorganisms than plain white flour, giving your starter a stronger start. You'll switch to all-purpose or bread flour later. Water. Use non-chlorinated water. Tap water that's been left out on the counter for a few hours is usually fine. Or you can use filtered or spring water. The mix. Combine. Mix equal parts by weight of flour and water. A good starting amount is 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. Stir. Mix it thoroughly until there are no dry pockets of flour left. The consistency should be like a thick, lumpy pancake batter. Cover and wait. Cover the jar loosely. Place it in a consistently warm spot, ideally 70 churs, a circumtext of 5 to 75, a circumtext for 21, a circumtext to 24, a circumtext to. The warmth encourages the wild microbes to wake up and multiply. Observe. Just leave it alone for 24 hours. Phase 2. The first stirrings, days 2, 3. You might not see much happen on day 2, but by day 3, you're looking for signs of life. What to look for? Day 2, usually nothing much. The mix might smell a little like raw flour or faintly sour. Day 3, look for small occasional bubbles on the surface or along the sides of the jar. This is a sign that the yeast and bacteria are starting to consume the sugars in the flour and produce carbon dioxide, the bubbles. You might notice a slightly sweet, yeasty, or even slightly fruity smell. This is normal. The feeding, day 3. You'll begin your feeding routine now, but only if you see some signs of activity. Discard. This is the part that feels wasteful, but it's crucial. You need to reduce the starter volume so you're not constantly adding huge amounts of flour. Discard about half of your starter, leaving behind the other half, about 50 g, in the jar. Feed. Add 50 grams of new flour and 50 grams of water to the remaining starter. Mix and wait. Stir well, scrape down the sides, cover loosely, and place it back in its warm spot. Phase 3, the peak and crash cycle. Days 4, 7. This is the most critical and often confusing phase. You're going to start seeing a lot of activity, but it can be inconsistent. The routine. You'll now feed your starter once every 24 hours using the 1.11 ratio, 1 part old starter, 1 part new flour, 1 part water. What's happening? The rise. Around 4 to 12 hours after feeding, your starter should start to rise significantly in the jar, often doubling in volume. This is the good bacteria and yeast dominating the environment, and in the fall or after peaking, the starter will fall or crash as it runs out of food. It will leave tide marks on the jar, a great way to see how high it rose. The smell change. You might notice a stage, often around day 5 or 6, where the starter smells strongly acidic, like vinegar, or even like nail polish remover, acetone. Don't panic. This is a sign that the bacteria are working hard, but they're hungry. The fix for a strong acidic smell. If the smell is really strong and acidic, consider feeding twice a day, every 12 hours, instead of once. This gives the microbes fresh food before they have a chance to get too hungry and produce those pungent acidic byproducts. Maintain the 1.1.1 ratio. Phase 4, consistency and maturity, days 7, 14. Your starter is considered ready for baking when it demonstrates consistency. The goal, the reliable double. You are looking for the starter to reliably and predictably double in size after every feeding. Switch to white flour. If you started with rye or whole wheat, Now is a good time to switch to an all-purpose or bread flour. This will give your finished bread a lighter texture. Mark, take the height. After feeding, use a rubber band or a marker to note the starting height of the starter in the jar. Watch the clock. A mature starter should peak double between 4 and 8 hours after feeding it. If it takes much longer or is inconsistent, keep feeding it daily or twice daily until it hits this sweet spot reliably. The float test, optional confirmation. When your starter is bubbly and peaked, drop a teaspoon of it into a glass of water. If it floats, it means it has enough trapped gas, carbon dioxide, to successfully lift your dough. If it sinks, it needs more time and feeding. Phase 5, maintenance mode. Congratulations. Once your starter is reliably doubling, you can move into maintenance mode. Active baking maintenance. And if you bake several times a week, you can keep your starter on the counter, feeding it once a day or twice, depending on your kitchen temperature. Added active and ready. Infrequent baking maintenance, the fridge method. If you bake less often than once a week, the refrigerator is your best friend. Feed it. Give your starter a final full feeding. Let it sit on the counter for about an hour to get the process started. Chill it. Place the sealed jar, not too tight but more secure than a loose cover, in the fridge. The cold temperature slows the microbial activity way down. Feed it once a week or at least every 2 weeks, the night before baking. Take it out, feed it, and let it sit on the counter overnight to become fully active and bubbly again. It might take 2 feedings, 12 hours apart, to fully wake it up after a long nap. You now have a living, breathing ingredient that will give your homemade bread incredible flavor and texture. Happy baking!